Good morning. It's a little chilly out there, and if you're a golfer, you know what FJ means, foot joy. And as you can tell, I'm a golfer. What 50 years of entrepreneurship has taught me. This is going to be a good one. Okay. I've been an entrepreneur since June of my 23rd year of life. That was June of 1980. I became a full-time entrepreneur. I did other things before that. When I was little, I always had lemonade stands, sold subscriptions, would make things, sell them to the neighbors. I had a paper route, and I used to schedule it out, farm it out to my brothers at a penny a paper, and I'd collect on Saturdays so I could get the tips, okay? In high school, I didn't do too much of that, but I had like 3 or 4 jobs. And then college came, and my buddy Billy Dangler and I, actually my best friend, we started sealing driveways. We'd knock on doors at night, seal it in the morning, play golf in the afternoon. And that just went on and went on. And then later on in college, he went to work with a siding company, and I joined them as a canvasser, okay? I guess I wasn't in business for myself, but I was on straight commission, okay? So I've been at this for quite a while. I've had over 33 businesses. I stopped counting at 33. Some were wins and most were disasters, okay? One of them I sold way too early, but every single one shaped the person I am today. And if you're 60 plus and wondering what your next chapter should be, these 5 decades of lessons will help you start smarter than I did, okay? Lesson one is you do not need permission, okay? Nobody anoints you and says, okay, you can start a business. I started ACC at age 23, okay? I just started, and I'll tell the story a little bit later on how that all happened, but I had no idea what I was doing and ended up selling to AT&T for $1.1 billion, okay? I didn't get all that money. I sold out early, and I'll tell you the story behind that, okay? I gave over 500 public speeches, okay? I didn't ask permission. I woke up one day and I said, I am a public speaker, okay? I found out some Rotary Club or something like that where they like speakers, and I don't even remember what I came up with, what subject it was, but I wanted to learn how to speak in front of a crowd of people that I did not know. So I said, I'll give you a dime for every time I say or ah, okay? In a 15-minute talk, 593 times, okay? That was $59.30 that I gave to them, and I said, this is how I'm going to learn. The very next time I did it, less than 10, okay? Then my next step was I joined Toastmasters, and they have their new people speak with other people. And the first time I spoke, because I kept practicing and practicing, out of like half a dozen people, I won, okay, my first crack at it. So now I am a public speaker, but I've never been paid, okay? I am a public speaker, I kept saying, and then I don't know exactly how it happened, but I made $500 on my first speech. I spoke for the folks that do the rings. The class rings is at Jensen. I forgot exactly who it was. I'm in Rochester, New York. This was up in the Thousand Islands, and I made $500 for a half-an-hour speech. I was off to the races, okay? In shorter than a few months, that all happened, all because I decided I wanted to become a public speaker. And intuitively, I knew I had the gift. I just felt like I did. And then I went and did it, and I did. And I don't speak too much in public anymore. I was going to go on the road, but that business that gave me most of those 500 talks was I was on the road for 5 years, okay? And I didn't like being on the road. And then I considered, I wrote a book and go speak on the book, and I'd have to be away. Even though you make 10, 15, 20,000 a speech, I did not like being away. But maybe now I could schedule it down to maybe one a month, okay? Because then I was doing about 100 of these every single year, and all I had was airports and hotels. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. I didn't know everything when I started, but I knew enough to begin. Seniors still wait for permission in their 60s, 70s, and 80s to start. You're allowed to reinvent yourself at any age, okay? I'm 69, and I am reinventing myself again. Curiosity question. And I'm not the model you look for, okay? I had an identity crisis or an age crisis about 2 years ago, thinking I was too old and nobody had listened to me. Then I went on YouTube University, which you're on right now, and I looked for people that were older than me, still cranking it, and I found a boatload of them, okay? So if that's one of your things, you think you're too old, I can guarantee you there's somebody older than you that's done very, very well, and they came from nothing, okay? If you came from nothing. So keep that in mind. Always know that, okay? I don't care what age you are, there is always somebody done better than you, and worse than you, okay? But came from the circumstances that you are in right now. What held you back before? And is it still today? Is it the fear of success, which is a real thing, or the fear of failure, which is a bigger thing? You got to identify those things. Lesson 2, start before you feel ready. If you wait till everything's perfect, you will never get started. Well, I got to get my website done, or I got to do this, or I got to do that, I got to do this. No, you start, okay? You don't need a fancy website. You don't need a fancy CRM, contact management system. You don't need graphics. You don't need anything, okay? Just start. The less you start with, the better. What happens with all these other things, like building a website, it takes away your ability to get started right away. And then a lot of things creep in your mind, and after working on it for a month or two, you decide not to do it because you don't think it's a good idea without ever starting. Okay, here's what I do. I try to sell whatever it is, okay? I had a yellow page publishing company, so I went out and started to try to sell ads, okay? This was in the mid-'80s, and it started to work. So I knew if I sold them, it would work, okay? Or you can sell the concept of what you're doing. You can put out an assessment and ask a bunch of questions and get a bunch of leads, okay? There are many things you can do to test your idea without building a website, getting a special phone number, setting up an LLC, getting a special logo designed, okay, for a fortune. No, don't do any of those things. Just get started. Give yourself permission to get started immediately. I built a long-distance phone service in my early 20s. I sold it way too early before it went public. My share would have been worth millions. That regret taught me this. First of all, I don't know what kind of a person I would have turned into, even though I've got a good foundation with my parents and grandparents, the way I grew up, if I had over $100 million. That's what my take would have been, okay? I don't know what that would have been. So I might have turned into a real idiot, okay? Or an arsehole. So what did it teach me? I sought no counsel, okay, whatsoever. First of all, I just justified why it might have not been okay, but now I'm going to justify how I could have got it, okay? I sought no counsel at age 27. I look back at my 25-year-old self and I would say, seek counsel, okay? Just ask somebody, ask another business owner, ask someone. I asked nobody, okay? Not a soul. So I would have told my younger self now, Sell half, you would have got the same price. They were going to give you 100 grand, and keep half as a lottery ticket. Okay, and if it hits, it hits. Okay, I could have got that deal. They couldn't have moved forward without my stock, with the amount of money they wanted to raise. So they needed me. So they had to make a deal, okay? And I did not know that, okay? I could see it a mile away coming now, but at 23, I guess they took advantage of me. But it's my fault. I take responsibility for everything. Okay, let's get out of that story. Momentum beats motivation. Every successful business I built came from repetition, doing over and over and over. And the first thing I always did is I started to sell it, okay? Sell it myself. So the Yellow Page directory that I had, I started selling myself. I ended up with 60 sales reps. We sold $2.1 million worth of advertising within 6 months from me sitting down at a desk, renting a room for $100 a month with a telephone. And in 6 months, I had 2.1 million in sales from nothing, not a thing. I look back at those things and go, wow, you did that in the 80s? Let's do it again now, okay? And actually, it's some other videos and what I've been learning and what I've done, it's easier now than it was back then, okay? It is easier now because you have more ways to sell things with less people. Anyway, like I said, every single business I built came from reputation. The dry cleaning business, we did bag drops every day, got customers, okay? Life legacy story, okay, which is my main gig now. I help seniors like you tell your story, okay? Not to be published, not to be sold on Amazon or in a Barnes & Noble bookstore, but for your family book, your life legacy book. That's what I help people do now, and I'm ready for it. And what I do in that business is I make a video every day, like I'm making this one, every single day. Well, I've only done, this is number 8 so far, and I've done a video, another kind of video for this channel. I've done 8 of those so far, so it's going pretty good, okay? And I've got this concept too. I can miss one day, but I can't miss 2 days. So I might miss one day, but then I'll make it up so it happens, okay? I haven't missed any days yet. It's a couple days before Thanksgiving, and I got to get this done before my wife gets up and starts having me do a lot of things. Okay. Motivation fades, momentum compounds. Seniors underestimate the small, consistent actions you need to take, okay? What tiny action could you repeat for 30 days that would make a difference in your life, okay? Maybe you can't get out of a chair. Maybe there's some exercise you can do to help you get out of the chair, and maybe in 30 days you can get out of the chair, okay? One small thing. Lesson 4, building something that outlives you. Now, 2 of my other companies, maybe 3, I got to check on it, are still going, that I finished, or I did in the 80s, but I am not the legacy with those stories. They have changed quite a bit. You know, my name is not mentioned in ACC, that AT&T bought in 92 or 93, but I want to build a legacy story. A legacy, for my family, and this business is going to be my legacy. And it's perfect for me because as a 69-year-old, people are going to listen to me helping them write their legacy book. If I was 35 years old, they're not going to listen to me, okay? Because I know what you know. And you know what I know, and vice versa. I just said that. Deja vu all over again. Okay. Money is good. Legacy is better. At 60, your priorities shift. Mine have. You want your story preserved for generations to come, and you want your grandkids to know you. Legacy life stories exist because memories deserve to live. And if life ended today, what story would your family never hear? Think about that. You got to preserve that. And if you don't do anything with me, but just go on your iPhone and record a story for your kids, have it printed out and store it somewhere so that when you're gone, they got that story, okay? Just start doing that, okay? If you want to get started without my help. But I'm going to help you. And for those that want our definite help, we can do it. For those that want to do it on their own, we're going to give you the ability to do that because we're going to give you all the tools you need to do that too. Your network is your lifeline. Every big break I ever had came from people. Okay? I did 500 plus speaking engagements. My partnerships, my relationships, my opportunities is the network in my life. Seniors think their networks shrink, it deepens, okay? Those folks that you had strong relationships with get even stronger. Reach out, reconnect, rebuild. I've been doing that lately. Story prompt, share a time when one relationship changed everything. Okay, let me do that. In Entrepreneur magazine, there was an article about building your own long-distance phone service. And this was, early 1980 in Texas. And I forgot the guy's name, even though I spent a week with him in Dallas, Texas. I know I sent him a thank you note, but I should still be in touch with this dude today, okay? Because he actually changed my life on how I go after starting businesses, okay? So without really getting into it, Ma Bell was being breaking up, AT&T was breaking up, and there was this company called MCI coming out. MCI was already out, okay? So I went down to Texas. He told me how to do it. I came back, and we started pre-selling the service. Now, I pre-sold the service using my competitor, MCI, and I funded it initially by not paying my long distance bill that I had all these companies using under my account, a sub account. I didn't pay it for like 6 months. And I was able to use that money to start my company. I raised $250,000 to start, and we paid off MCI, and I was funded actually by my competitor. So that's how that started. That's how this guy, I don't even know his name. If you're watching this, get a hold of me and let me know. Hopefully you're still around. Thank you. Thank you, Dallas. Lesson 6, your health is your wealth. Like I said, I lost 65 pounds recently. I had diabetes 3 years ago. I had neuropathy in my feet 3 years ago. Reversed my diabetes. At a high, I was a 10.1 A1C. I am now a 5.3. My diabetes is 95% gone. I couldn't walk one golf hole because my feet hurt so badly. And now, half my rounds of golf, I carry my bag and I walk. Okay? You can do this, and that was 3 years ago when I was 66 years old. I started that, okay? Are you 66? Are you younger? Are you older? And if you're older than me, you can't say, I'm older than him, I can't do it. You know what? Look, there's people older than you that are doing the same thing, okay? There's always somebody older, not as good off as you are, doing what you want to do. Okay, my energy at 69 is better than most 40-year-olds. I'm up at 4 o'clock every day. It is now just around 7 a.m. and I'm getting through this video this morning. Your health fuels your business and your legacy. And seniors, health is not optional, okay? It's the most important thing for us right now is our health. It's our whole life, but now we can see it in front of us, okay? What one small habit can you add this week? I added one. I'm reading one chapter of the Bible per day. So I'm in Genesis still. I just started, okay? Never read the Bible before. I'm 69. I'm a Catholic. I was an altar boy. My wife and I like to say we're Catholic Buddhists, but I never read the Bible. So I'm reading it, okay? I'm sure it's very motivational. Okay, you're not too old to win again. I started YouTube at 68, but there are people that started YouTube at 90, okay? People started businesses at 80 and 90. I'm just a youngster compared to them. So no matter where you are, you can start, okay? That chronological thing that says how old you are has nothing to do with your mind spirit, okay? How do you feel? Or how would you like to feel? Let's get you there. I'm launching multiple businesses. I'm helping you, seniors, reinvent yourselves. Age is an asset, not a limitation. Like I said, I couldn't do this business unless I was this age. I couldn't be 40 and do it. You're not starting over, you're starting smarter. What dream did you have at 50 that deserves a comeback? You know, I wanted to write lots of books. I wanted to be one of those people that's in their pretty office, maybe overlooking a lake and writing books, okay? First of all, that doesn't motivate you anyway, having a pretty setting. That does, but you're not supposed to be looking out there looking for things. You're supposed to be working away, okay? By the way, the books that I write now, I don't do this, okay? I speak, record, edit, and then I clean it up and I got a book, okay? That's how simple writing a book, okay? I'm not as good a writer as I am an author. And an author has ideas, okay? And then I did do a couple of books this way, the whole way, and it took forever. But now I just come up with the questions. I have somebody ask me the questions that's familiar with the area that I'm doing, and I answer the questions. And I got a script over so many hours, and I transcribed the script, edit it myself, and I got a book, okay? That's how it's done. Your wisdom has a monetary value. Your life experience equals a product. Seniors can consult, coach, advise, and write. What we've lived more than most people have read about, us seniors. People will pay for shortcuts. I pay for them all the time. So do you, okay? Your stories have value. Prompt, what do people already come to you for advice on? What do people come to you already for advice on? That's what you're really good at, okay? Lesson 9, failure is tuition, not your identity. Most of those 33 companies, people would say, I failed. I don't like to use the word failure. I just put, I didn't make it happen. But you know what? I have learned more from those so-called failures than I have from the successes. And without those, I wouldn't be the business person or the person that I am today. Failure teaches you. It doesn't take away from you, it teaches you. If you never had a failure, you would eventually get a really big one, okay? You need to learn these things. Seniors fear failure, but you can't fail at a legacy, okay? And remember, failures get you to success quicker. The more you fail, the faster you get to success. So what failure taught me actually my biggest lesson? I used to think it was the ACC one where my stock would have been worth $100 million, but I got a bigger one, okay? And it only happened about 3 years ago, and we touched on it before. I had neuropathy in my feet. So I had diabetes at the time, but I didn't know it. My doctor knew it, but didn't even put me on, well, he did put me on medication, but it was like 6 months before that. But that diabetes showed up maybe 2 years before that, and he just put me on some metformin medication. And I got neuropathy so bad in my feet that it was a wake-up call, which led me to find out what caused the neuropathy, the root cause, not just the drugs that I need, okay? And the root cause was diabetes because of inflammation, okay, that I had in my feet, caused the neuropathy. So I figured out I've got to change the way that I eat. I got to change my lifestyle. I've got to exercise. And it took me a while, not too long, but I ended up losing 65, 70 pounds, depending upon the day. My A1C went from 10.1 4 or 5 years ago down to 5.3 now. And my neuropathy is 95% gone. And I walk 50 rounds a year carrying my bag, and the other 50 I'm in a cart. Okay? That was my biggest failure, which turned into my biggest success. Without getting that neuropathy, if it was hidden, all of this, I'd be sick as a dog right now, maybe have to have my foot taken off, and I'm on no medications whatsoever. Not even one of those baby aspirin blood thinners. I am on nothing. I am on 2 supplements for my neuropathy: alpha lipoic acid, or better known as ALA, and vitamin B complex. I stopped that for a while, but I started to feel a little tingly in my feet. I went back up on it and it went away, so that does help me. I'm not a big promoter of vitamins and minerals and things like that, but if your body is damaged, you either need those temporarily, or if your damage isn't going to go away, you need to do it on a more permanent basis, which I am with that. Okay? So family is the real return on investment. At the end of the day, I've got my wife, Andrea, my 2 kids, Courtney, my oldest, Ryan next, and my grandchildren, Adeline Marie, Blake, and Caden. And having grandchildren is, the biggest gift I've ever gotten in my life. Because now I have a purpose again. I want to leave them a legacy in the way that I act, my writings to them. I'm actually going to write them. I'm going to speak them out, okay? But my writings and business. That's what I'm working for right now. You all need something outside of yourself, okay? If you're going to do something just to make money or just to make your life more comfortable, it's got to come from outside yourself. And when I was younger, it was my family. But even bigger than that, I knew if I took care of my employees, my workers, okay, that my family would be taken care of and that I'd be taken care of. So I always did better when I had a number of employees, because I had to keep it going to keep paying them, okay? So they are why I keep going. They are why I'm so excited to get up. And my daughter probably doesn't know this, and my son probably doesn't know this, and maybe someday they'll watch this, but that is the reason. Your next chapter, like mine, can be your most meaningful. You've just got to decide to go ahead and do it, okay? You've lived more life than most people have read about. You're not starting over, you're starting smarter. Your story, your health, your wisdom, that's your legacy. Let's you and I build this together. Make it a great day, and happy Thanksgiving if you're close to this. Bye-bye. That was fun.